Welcome back to another episode of the Saline Post Show. I'm Chase Stanton, and I'm with Tran Longmore, and we're going to talk about some of your biggest news stories, some sports, and some different happenings. So,
all right. Well, it was a quiet couple weeks because everybody in town went on vacation.
Yeah.
We just came back to work basically yesterday, and it was city council last night where Mayor Brian Morrow gave his State of the City address, and council members were sworn in.
Yeah. So congratulations again to those three council members and Mayor Morrow. And we have some video up after this, but yeah, if you want to talk about his address a little bit.
Well, the one thing or a couple things that stuck out a little bit about the mayor's speech last night. First of all, almost none of it was a surprise. It was basically a review of everything that's happened in the last year. He quickly went through it, and but the one thing I would say. The one thing I'm picking up on about this mayor, based on that speech, is that, a lot of people talk about his sort of extravagant wardrobe, his expensive ties and stuff like that, and his political speech. I mean, he's a gifted speaker, but there's something that's really sort of methodical and practical about him. And that is, if you look at that speech, whether he's composing a speech or delivering a speech or he's doing the things that he needs to do as mayor, he seems to have a checklist of things to do, and he goes through. He addresses them and gets them done, and then he checks them, and he goes on to the next thing. It's not super flashy. It's just sort of methodical.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I picked on. I was at the meeting too. It was read like a checklist, not to make it sound like he was just sitting there reading bullet points, but he was going over all the different things that council and he have accomplished over the year and the plan of action for next year.
Yeah. So. It's tough to say, and I don't want to be in a position where I'm judging whether or not council's doing a good job and all that kind of stuff and talking about that. But I think they had a busy year, and they got a lot on their plate for next year. And but overall, I think it's fair to say that 2015 or 2014, there was a corner turned here in Saline. Things are looking a little bit better, in large part because of the economy, but also. You got to give credit to City Council and the mayor for the work they've done too, I think.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, if people want to see the swearing in and the mayor's address, you can watch it on SCTN for the next week while it's airing, or you can go onto the Vimeo page for the City of Saline.
Yeah, and it's on the SalinePost.com too. Only the speech too.
Yeah.
So I'll plug myself there.
So what's the next topic you wanted to talk about?
Well, obviously, the biggest story on our website this week, traffic-wise, was the resignation of Saline Athletic Director Rob White, and it was a surprise. Nobody saw this coming, and it was announced last week. And he said it was for personal reasons, and everything that I've looked into said it's for personal reasons. So you just leave it at that, and I accept that for what it is. And one of the reasons why it's such a shock is because he was so successful, I think, at his job. And you look at this fall might have been the most successful fall sports season in the history of Saline.
Extremely successful. Several teams going to states in their own respective sports. Football team getting all the way there.
So that's a surprise, and now we've learned that Kurt Ellis, the assistant superintendent for human resources, he's going to do the job on an interim basis, and I think they want to have a job posting for the permanent job by the end of March, and then by May have the new AD in place.
And Kurt Ellis has a background in athletic direction.
Oh, for sure. He was, I can't remember how many years exactly. I think it's over 10 years, but in Novi, he was really successful as athletic director. And he raised a lot of money for the athletics programs outside of the tax base. So he went and got a lot of fundraising from private individuals and companies to help fund athletics. And I'm guessing, and this is just speculation, that that's going to be something that moving forward, the Saline Area School District wants to see from an athletic director. They spend about $1 million a year of the general fund budget on Saline athletics, which isn't a ton, but there's a lot of pressure to squeeze as much money as they can, So I think that's something maybe we should be looking for in the future.
Yeah, and just jumping back a little bit, just thanking Rob White for his years of working here and driving that athletic department that far.
Yeah, and I just want to thank him also because if you're out there, Rob, it's because early on when I came to town, I was with Patch at the time, and I said, "Hey, Rob White, I'm going to be covering Saline sports." It took him a little while to warm up to what I was doing, but once he figured out what I was doing, he realized that I was trying to promote what was going on in Saline sports, and once he realized that, he promoted me a lot. So I'll always be thankful to him for that.
Well, moving on to the next topic, Saline Area Social Services and their Toys for Tots drive went extremely well.
Yeah, it goes well every year. The fire department and Chief Heff, they do a great job. The community steps up and donates all these toys. The middle school, they were involved. The cross-country team from the middle school ran all the toys over from the middle school, cut through the park and ran them all to the fire department. And then they spent an afternoon on a Sunday before Christmas, 2 Sundays before Christmas, wrapping up the toys, deliver them the next day. Fire department puts them on the trucks and delivers them to Saline Area Social Service. And I think it was 150 kids or so.
Wow.
400 toys for 150 kids. That, who knows what else they were getting. I know from what I'm told by a volunteer at Saline Area Social Service, some of those kids weren't going to get Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal.
Yeah, so thank you everyone involved in that.
Yeah, the whole community. And I think one of the interesting things, it wasn't just the Toys for Tots drive. There were Christmas baskets and Thanksgiving dinner baskets, and the National Honor Society did their food drive, the Saline High School National Honor Society food drive. They had a record collection, and if you've been to the basement of Saline Area Social Service, I have a picture of this. You can see it's stuffed. It used to be empty, and now it's stuffed full of canned goods and toiletries and paper products and other things that people are going to need. And it's an exciting time for Saline Area Social Service. Only a few months ago, there were concerns about whether or not they would still be around for much longer. I think that's a good thing for Saline, that things have turned around for them.
Yeah.
And it's good to see that Saline's taking care of the people in town who could use some help.
Yeah, and hopefully, they can springboard off this kind of holiday season of giving and keep going with it.
Yeah, and I'm told, and I haven't published this yet, but I'm told that they're still moving in the right direction in terms of they might be moving out of that office in downtown to a new location on West Michigan Ave.
Well, some less positive news. As many people have seen, the Saline Inn, there was a fire.
Yeah. It was, I think, I don't remember the date. It was in December. I think it was the week before the holidays.
Yep.
And there were 9 o'clock. All the employees left the restaurant before 9 o'clock. By 9:20, I think the fire department was dispatched, and they knocked down that fire pretty quick.
Yeah.
But the smoke and the water damage, the place was going to be down for a few months. And of course that meant that there were going to be employees without paychecks coming in right before Christmas.
Yeah.
And if you're a waitress and you're a cook, chances are you're living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Any interruption in that sort of paycheck system and it can throw a family into chaos for a while.
Yeah. Right
before the holidays. Doesn't matter when it is, but right before the holidays, it's got to be about the worst time for that to happen. So people can donate, though, right?
Yeah. There's methods available. There was a big push right afterwards and before the holidays, but if anyone kind of forgot and everything going on, there's still ways to donate. So.
Yeah, you can go to Huntington Bank, which is right next to Saline Inn, and say you want to donate to the Saline Inn Relief Fund, and then you can go to there's a link. We have a link to a GoFundMe site,
Yep.
but you can just go to GoFundMe.com and type in Saline, Michigan, or the zip code, and it's like the first thing there. It's the Saline Employee Relief Fund, and I think they had raised over $8,000 last time I looked. So I talked to one of the employees. I didn't talk to one of the employees, but they posted on our Facebook because there was some debate. Do we want to have? Why do they need a relief fund when they could just get unemployment?
Yeah.
And I that was a question I had a little bit myself. But one of the employees said, I'm looking at $150 a week. I work 50 hours a week, and I'm looking at maybe once the unemployment kicks in, which isn't right away, getting $150 a week for 15 weeks.
Yeah.
So,
which really isn't a livable wage by any means.
And not only do people contribute, donate, but other businesses in town, like Dan Colander from Dan's, he offered to hire waitresses. He said, I got positions. Come apply and I'll hire you. So a lot of people stepped up and helped out, which is always good to see.
Yeah. So, like we said, the link's up, and go help out if you can. So sports, jumping in a little different direction.
Sports they haven't started back up. They start up tonight after the break, but we'll just do maybe a quick rundown of where the teams stand.
Yeah.
I don't think I have all the records memorized, but we can start with boys basketball. And Coach Williams' team, they won their first game of the year, and I don't believe they've won since. They've struggled a little bit. David Elms has played great. Cam Cole has played really well. They gotta step it up a little bit. I think as some of the football players who are on the team get back into basketball shape. They couldn't practice for a while because they were playing football, obviously. I think the team will become more competitive and will be solid going forward.
And then girls basketball?
Girls basketball, Coach Walsh's teams, they always seem to start a little slow. And, I was there at the Manchester game for the second half. And boy, that was about the most brutal girls basketball game I've seen Saline play. But they've been sort of hit and miss. They've played well some games and lost. They've not played that well some other times and won. But they've got a really strong group of seniors led by Amanda Zylstra, who's one of the best basketball players in the county. And they're going to be this team always seems to hit their stride in late January, early February.
And they've got just a ton of spirit on that team. The girls are just driven, so I'm sure they'll pick up that pace.
Yeah. Yep. The hockey team is another team. Coach Denzen's team. It's a little bit different. I'll say this about that team is. I've never seen this team play this well. I've covered Saline sports. I think this is my 4th or 5th year, and I haven't seen a Saline hockey team this good.
Yeah.
The team is more serious about winning. The whole program is a little bit more serious about winning than they've ever been. They cut players, and then they cut players who'd been with the team for a while, and decided we're gonna run the program a little bit more like a varsity program. Yeah. And that's what they're doing this year, and they've got the senior talent to make it happen this year. Owen Helber has been dynamite and is one of the probably best high school hockey players in the state, and their new goalie Scott Thomas has also been a big factor too.
And their next game is,
I think it's Saturday on the road.
Okay.
It might be against Wyandotte.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those downriver teams, they're tough.
Yeah. Are you from Downriver?
Yep.
Yeah, Downriver High School hockey.
So, swim team?
The swim team I think has been a little bit of a surprise this year. They've been pretty good. They might not be ready to be a state championship, a real state champ contender this year, but Jacob Ehrman, younger brother of Josh Ehrman, who is sort of a Saline swim legend, part of the Fab Four, he's really stepped up and become, I think, one of the better swimmers in the state, and he's going to make some noise. They got maybe the best diver in the state in Dakota Herbis, and Alex Calder isn't far behind. And some of their youngsters, Daniel Keith, a sophomore, he's developing. He was good last year. He's taken that next step this year. And then they've got 3 or 4 top-notch freshmen who are really contributing. So I think they're going to make some noise this year. But I think this team is really shaping up to be a contender maybe the next year.
Yeah, some great talent.
And then the last team that I've noticed that I've covered a few times is the gymnastics team, and they look pretty good. They look deeper than ever, and they're led by Kelsey Flanagan, who's a senior, who is in gymnastics. She made the state meet as an all-around in all 4 events, and I guess that's rare for Celine. Yeah. So the gymnastics team looks solid to start this year too. I think they're undefeated in league play, and their goal obviously is to win the league again, and to send as many girls as they can to the state meet.
Yeah, and obviously you cover as many sports as possible. If not, people can always watch Hornet Nation. Shameless plug for one of our programs, but I think that's it for this episode, right?
That's it.
Yeah, so thanks for watching, and tune in for more.
Yep, see you in a couple weeks.